ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 52 of Geeks Who Like Sports. That's right, a full year of Geeks Who Like Sports is now behind us. This is our 1-year anniversary. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in actually pretty dreary today, Los Angeles, California. Joining my best buddy in the higher world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, I'm doing great. It's beautiful here in Philadelphia. I've got some Philadelphia stickers for those of you not watching. They both spell Philly. One's out of soft pretzels, and one's the actual city skyline. Apparently, we have enough buildings to spell the word Philly. It's nice weather here. I'm in shorts. Can't complain. Was riding bikes with my kids today. They're teaching them how to ride bikes, which is hilarious. And happy anniversary, man! 1 year, 52 episodes. That's pretty great. I'm gonna look forward in this episode to kind of reminisce about some of the older episodes towards the end. Just because I know we have a lot of new listeners now than we did after episode 1. Actually, for those of you who don't know, we have a secret to tell you. The very first episode of Geeks Who Like Sports, like the very first, no one's ever heard because the recording didn't work. So Ray and I did an entire episode 53 weeks ago, and it didn't record anything. And it was just left to the masses, and he and I both agreed, like, let's not try and repeat this episode. We'll just do it again next week as a first episode. This was good practice. And a year and 1 week later, man, don't you wish you could just go back in time a year right now and be like, guess what's happening a year from now? We wouldn't believe it. It would be great.
It's been a very eventful year. A lot has happened this past year. That's fun, by the way, the fact that you and the Elias clan all riding bikes on Easter Sunday. That's wonderful, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's when we're recording, by the way. That's a great segue. Today is April 12th, 2020, Easter Sunday. Yes. Happy Easter, happy Passover to everybody who celebrates, and happy quarantine to all of us.
Happy quarantine. Yes, this is the episode after my 35th birthday.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, I went out. I got a pastrami sandwich, so I was happy. I found a deli that was open.
And tell them what I told you. Tell them what I told you to do on your birthday. I said you eat.
Yeah, just do whatever I want.
Eat whatever you want to eat for your birthday. Yeah. That's what I said.
Yeah, so it was great. So I found a deli, which of course my birthday was the 8th, which was actually also the first day as Passover. So of course half the delis were closed here in LA. But I did find, I know exactly. But I did find one deli that was open, which was great. I got myself a pastrami sandwich. I also got a cheesesteak, which of course isn't as good as the Philadelphia cheesesteaks, but I had a slice of chocolate cake, and it was just a really good day, and I needed that for sure. Also, I love sandwiches. Everybody who knows me knows I love sandwiches.
Do I have to remind you where you go for cheesesteaks? Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. Philadelphia. It's only $60 to fly there right now. I know.
It's only $60 round trip. It's not even just $60. Technically, it's $30. Yeah. Yeah, see that? There's some more visuals for you. So for those of you not watching this and listening to this, my camera just went up and down twice. Yeah. Which was funny because, Ray's telling me, your camera's off. And I'm like, only half the people. Yeah. Only the half the people listening to this know that. So, anyway, you got to keep it interesting right at the start, right? You got to watch. You got to get their attention. Now we have it.
Yes. No, things are fun. This is a good episode. I got myself a new mug. My mom sent me a new mug for my birthday. It's Aries for my, which is my astrological sign. So, yeah, it is what it is.
There it is. There's the Aries mug. So, we actually have a really good show today. Rich of content today. Heavy sports, which you wouldn't think would be the case with everything going on. But heavy sports episode today. We do have some geekdom. And then we're going to round the episode out just looking at some of our favorite moments from the last year in a non-sentimental, it's getting dusty in here fashion. But we do have some pretty cool milestones of the last year we want to share with you. Again, because we have a lot of listeners who picked us up along the way. Although our first episodes still get listens, it's amazing to us, and so I think Ray, you would agree with me. We're going to dedicate this episode to all of you out there listening, helping us get to 1 year. All the fans we picked up along the way, whether it's here, Los Angeles, Seattle, everywhere we've traveled. We love doing the show. We love that you enjoy the show, and we're going to continue to keep doing it because God knows we need the distraction.
Yes, no, it's very appreciated. We appreciate everybody out there listening. We hope you continue to listen. And obviously, of course, spread the word. The Facebook group, obviously, share the website, geekswhoLikeSports.com, the SoundCloud, all that other fun stuff. Spread the word, especially if you know somebody who likes geeks or sports.
Or tell a friend.
Yeah, and that's why we put the time code too in the description for each episode. Because I've got people, it's like, oh, I don't like sports, or I really don't like video games, or I really don't like this. It's like, well, look at the description and just listen to the parts of the stuff that you might find interesting. Yeah, like you don't have to listen to. We appreciate if you listen to the whole episode, but you don't have to.
No, most people do. I think people appreciate what we do.
I think so too, for sure.
Comment below if you don't, and let us know, because we'll be happy to comment back to that.
Yes, and in going into our first topic, speaking of appreciation, 3 players from the NBA are getting the ultimate appreciation. As last week it was announced, the NBA Hall of Fame class, 9 folks are getting inducted, several coaches, a WNBA player, but probably the 3 biggest names that are a part of this 2020 Hall of Fame class, of course, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Garnett. 3 of the most dominant players, 3 faces of the league of the past 20 years. Of course, Kobe was kind of pushed forward more quickly because of the tragic accident a few months ago. The 5-year waiting period was waived for him. But definitely 3 of the most deserving and worthy individuals from our lifetime, for sure, to be inducted. Each of them a champion. Duncan and Kobe, multi-time champions, of course. All of them, I mean, staples of the All-Star game. Defensive players of the year. Tim Duncan, the only man in NBA history to win more than 1,000 games with one team. So, you know, kudos to them. We just wanted to say we appreciate you and congratulations. And that's our first topic of the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even too much of a discussion. I mean, this is one of those years where it's everyone agrees, it's obvious. I mean, I can't imagine anybody having a problem with any of this stuff. And it's a great class, and it deserves to be a great class, especially the one with what happened with Kobe, which almost seems so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago that
3 months
passed.
That's it.
Yeah, it's amazing how things have changed that. But, yeah, look, it's great to see a great class going to the NBA. And you're going to start to see this now, those great players from the late 90s, early 2000s to 2010s, you know, who are at the end of their career. That's who you're going to start to see. Or, you know, what I'm saying is these are the players from my childhood. You know, and late childhood, obviously. It wasn't just my childhood. Like, childhood would be Jordan. This is more like my high school, college years.
Right. Right.
You know, but yeah, you're going to start to see that now as we age out.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's exactly. It's the guys. These are guys who came into the league when me and Lee were in high school and college and retired.
I remember Kobe. Yeah. I mean, Kobe's from my area. I don't know if you knew that. Kobe grew up in the town next to me.
Yes.
In fact, next to the town I'm in now. So like, I've been following Kobe my entire life. I mean, I think he was the same age as my brother. So like, he kind of was in the same grade as my brother, just at the rival high school. So I've known his name my most of my life, if not my entire life. And then when you think of Duncan, I mean, again, Duncan and Garnett, they're just synonymous with the NBA and greatness. You know, whether it's in San Antonio or whether Garnett moved around. He won with Boston, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Garnett?
Yes, he beat the Lakers in 2008 with Boston,
Yeah, he was screaming anything is possible, right? That was him.
Yes.
I believe that was him. You know, that was a great moment to begin with. Just anything is possible. I'll never forget that. And, you know, all 3 of those just, you know, can't say enough about him. Like I said, it's not much of a discussion. It's just everyone, yes, we agree.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly. I mean, of course, my most memorable of those 3 is probably when Kobe won the 2010 championship over those Celtics. Because it was 3 years in a row where I think it was Lakers versus Celtics. It was very much a throwback to the 80s. It was Garnett's Celtics took the first one, and the Lakers won the next 2. But I remember the 2010 one in particular because I was actually out in L.A. for my very first E3. It was my last year at ESPN, but I had gone out to do E3 that year. Pulled out all the stops. Me, Jared Bowden, one of my good friends, of course, from ESPN, came out. He was my cameraman and producer. That was the year that also Xbox gave everybody Xbox 360 Slims.
That's right.
It was like, oh my God, this is what middle-aged women feel when they go to the Oprah show? Like, this is amazing. It's like, I got free stuff. You got an Xbox, and you got an Xbox, and you got an Xbox. And of course, that does not happen ever at E3. I was very spoiled, very much my first year. But I remember going to a Halo Reach event. It was a Halo Reach preview event at E3. And the Lakers won the championship, and everybody's there at the bar. You're splitting your time between the bar, watching the game, and playing your Halo demo. And when the Lakers won, everybody's celebrating. It's a great time. Drinks are being passed around. And then everybody got terrified because everybody was given a hunker down order because people were celebrating in the streets with shotguns and firing in the air. And there were road closures. And I'm like, is this what always happens in LA? This is terrible. And I remember
you've been there 10 years now. So tell me, is that what always happens in LA?
You know what? I will say this. When the Kings won, it was a lot more civil. The Lakers, of course, haven't won since then. So, and because of that experience, I always root against LA teams now because I don't want them to ever win again because I fear for my safety.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, I remember Jared. We had rented a Dodge Challenger as our rental car. So Jared comes peeling around the corner. He's like, "Get in! We got to get back to the hotel as quick as possible." Because it was like a movie. It was like there were road closures everywhere. It was absolutely
City goes nuts, man. City goes look. I mean, again, we've had our experiences here when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, what they had to do with the polls in the city and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, look, LA it's one of those great sports cities, but I wouldn't want to be there when they win.
Yeah, no, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. But it was a great event, great E3. But yeah, that's my most vivid memory of Kobe and his career because I was scared for my life. But yeah, no. Of course, like you said, all three of these guys deserve all of their accolades and appreciation. And one individual now who we're going to talk about who doesn't deserve any appreciation, doesn't deserve anything, Bubba Wallace. We don't usually do NASCAR a lot here on the show, but the past couple weeks, because NASCAR has kind of been at the forefront of this, having their drivers actually do virtual races with video games. You're starting to see that now with baseball doing that with MLB The Show. They're starting to do that, and the NHL has been looking into possibly doing this. There's also been talks about like Madden tournaments and things of that nature in NBA, and the NBA has also gotten on board with this as well with NBA 2K.
Yeah, they just ended their tournament. They just had a tournament that just ended for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But NASCAR was kind of like one of the ones who really started pushing this by like simming the Daytona 500. I think it was the Daytona 500. But anyway, Bubba Wallace, who is a driver in NASCAR.
And that is his name, of course, for those who don't follow NASCAR. There's lots of athletes in NASCAR and golf called Bubba.
Yeah. No judgment, just saying. Dude's name Bubba.
Nope,
Bubba.
Someone chose to name their kid that multiple times.
Actually, I think it's just for him. It's just the nickname. He just likes to. He prefers to go by Bubba.
Bubba. I would like Boba, but I wish.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know who wants to go by Bubba, but yeah, his actual name is Darrell Wallace, but he prefers to go.
Listen, hard sideways here. The greatest name in sports history is Jabba Chamberlain as an actual name. But it's just so much greatness in that name. Doesn't matter what sport he played. If Jabba Chamberlain's there, he's gonna make it.
And then he got into coffee beans and Jabba started selling Java.
Java.
Yep. So, but anyway, Bubba Wallace, again, real name Darrell Wallace, but he says, "Call me Bubba." Was playing one of these races. Somebody towards the end of the race virtually tapped him and spun him out, and he crashed. And instead of finishing the race, he rage quit. Now, Lee and I have when we used to do our Wednesday night hockey streams, used to make fun of guys who rage quit so much. Yeah. Because it's true, it's hysterical, and of course, it just shows that it's really poor sportsmanship that you can't finish the game.
He legit rage quit. So like for those of you who didn't see this, like he gets spun out. He's like, "Yo, that's why I don't take this serious." Well, that's it. You know what? I'm done. Like he was
slammed the controller down and walked off the camera, the webcam.
Full rage quit. Wasn't just like I don't agree with this. Click. It was like actual rage quit. I want you to picture that in your head. You can go see the video online if you want to see it.
Yes, but because he quit, because he did that, he lost all his sponsors. All his sponsors pulled out. They said, "We're not." For real. His real life
sponsors.
Yes, the guys who like provide most of his money pulled up. Like, we don't want to deal with a quitter. We don't want to be part of this because if this is how he treats this competitive aspect, we don't want to know how he actually represents himself on the racetrack. Which, I mean, it's just I kind of can see the 1-to-1, but it's definitely a. I mean, you gotta. I mean, this is why you don't ever quit. You can never quit, no matter how bad you're getting beat, no matter how good the other person might be the other way. Even me, like, I mean, you can see me if we started doing Wednesday Night Hockey again. I get frustrated sometimes with some of these guys. I've won some really good games, and I've beaten some guys real badly, and I've also been beaten badly. But I always finish the full 60 minutes because I'm not. You don't ever be labeled as a quitter. You don't ever want to be labeled as a quitter.
Exactly. Well, and not to mention that I mean, the negative press he was getting because of it, everyone was watching. It's like that's just not becoming of a NASCAR driver. Now, I will say this, that like I appreciate the competitiveness and the disappointment in losing. I mean, it means the guy likes to win. And I get that when it comes to a professional athlete. And for those of you who don't think NASCAR drivers are professional athletes, they are. What they have to do takes an incredible amount of endurance and focus and professionalism. It's just very different from being in the NBA. But it's again, like a golfer too. You know, like they're all athletes in their own way. But you have to be able to control yourself, and if you like Ray said, if you can't control yourself in the digital version of this, I mean, and he looks like an idiot. Now he'll get sponsors back, and it'll work out. But it was funny to see someone freak out like that. I remember him saying, "You know, this is why I can't take this seriously. Like, it's not supposed to be serious, Bubba.
Yeah,
you know, it's a game, man. Like, you know, that's the point. You gotta be able to separate the two."
Right, like you're not doing this like you're not an esport athlete. You're not. This isn't $1 million tournament or something.
You're giving money to charity.
Yeah, exactly. Down. Yeah, it's like you said, it's good because he's got those competitive juices. Like you said, he will get his sponsors back at some point, or at least some sponsors or a sponsor, something. But like it,
you never quit. You just never.
No, you
quit.
can't ever quit. There was actually an interesting conversation with a friend of mine, Brian Mazik, who's covers Chicago sports and also covers a lot of sports games, WWE and NBA 2K, and he got into an argument on Twitter with some guy because he was making fun of a guy. He was up by 30, and the dude quit, and he's like, "Look at this loser rage quitting on me," and everybody's like, "Well, he's not. There's no way he's gonna win." And he's like, "That's not the point. You finished the game." It's like, it was very interesting to see how people were actually very divided on this, because some people agreed with the rage quitter, and I think that says a lot about those people. No, I think it says a lot about those people, because obviously I know you and me fall on Brian's side, where it's like, it doesn't matter, you finished the game.
Well, look, I'd throw this to the audience, for those of you listening. I mean, are you for rage quitting if it's completely out of play and it doesn't matter, or do you finish the game? And here's the thing. I will say this, Ray, and again, there's a difference between rage quitting and just leaving the game, and this is what I mean. So if you have a really bad connection, all right, that's okay to leave, all right. Like if your game is lagging beyond belief, and it's just you're essentially hurting the other player at that point, right? Then that's one thing, okay. The only other time I think is like if there's an emergency or you have to go. Or even if the other player offers you, I think that's the thing. If another player offers you a way out, meaning like, look, this is really out of control. If you want to leave, I understand, and you want to leave, I think then it's okay. Even though, like, I don't think that happens that often. But you know what I'm trying to say? But rage quitting is just finish the game. Like these guys who throw the controller at the TV and stuff. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And I in my younger years, I'd get pissed, but I'd never quit a game. I don't ever remember walking away from a game.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, neither can I. Like, I mean, because there have been times that I've come back. Like there have been, I'll never forget this, right? So I used to play Madden a lot online, like a lot.
You?
And I think it was like, I want to say I had to be like Madden. It had to be like Madden 07 or Madden 06 or something like that. Like it was a couple years after the Michael Vick prime. Like this was I remember this was the year after he was the dog fighting thing came out. So he was kicked from the league, he was taken out of the league, right? He was suspended and went to jail, but he was still on a lot of Madden rosters. And so there was an update that obviously took him off the Falcons roster. Right, but if you didn't update the roster, you could still go online and play as Michael Vick. So there's one dude, and I'll never forget this. And it was, so of course I was playing as the New York Giants, and this had to be like 07, 08 because the Giants were still really good.
Just to pause you right there, Ray was unbearable at this time period. People, I just want you to know that because the Giants were really good, and he used to walk around going, "It's the G-Man! It's the G-Man!" I mean, I had to listen to this crap every day. I lived in the New York metropolitan area in New Jersey from 2002 till 2010, and he was unbearable about the Giants. It's like right in the middle of their Super Bowl run, so they're probably really good in the game. The Giants fans were just so loud and obnoxious. I mean, I'm not negating any other team right now that does the same thing, but this is why Ray will tell you this. I'm a pretty sensible sports fan. Like, I'm happy when Ray's teams win. I really am. He'll back me up on that. Okay,
it's a two-way street too.
Yeah, but this is also why, like, I don't feel bad gloating when my teams win to people in the New York, New Jersey area. Like, I have no problem reminding Giants fans that the Eagles won recently. Like, just because I put up with that for so long, and it's just. And here's the thing: when I lived there. Okay, the Yankees won, the Giants won twice, the Rangers were very good, the Mets were okay, but they're the Mets, right? I'm trying to think, a lot of teams won.
The only teams were terrible were the basketball teams.
Yeah, it was just like nobody would shut up in that area. They just could not keep their mouths shut about anything. So like that's why like I turn it on a little bit. Whenever it's a New York fan, the G-Man, Big Blue, it's just like, geez, you guys suck, right? So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but
no, it's all good.
This. So Ray was playing as the G-Man, Big Blue, against the Atlanta Falcons in that dog murder.
So I had to be like I said, like 06 or 07 because Strahan was still playing. So I had Strahan and Umanura on the defensive lines, and I figured out first of all how to beat Michael Vick, because Vick obviously when he played that game would just roll out, scramble, run forever. Yeah,
he could run. He was just like real life Michael Vick. He was really really good.
And he was unstoppable. But there's a play called Nickel 9 Velcro, and I'll never forget this because what that does is the Giants would then only rush their defensive tackles, and Strahan and Umanura would go out in the flats. And Strahan and Umanura were so good in that game was that if Vic tried to get past them, they would still tackle him. But I didn't figure that out until the second half. So at halftime, I was down 35-14. And this is why you don't quit.
Wow.
Most of the time, that's a 3-touchdown lead with 1 half to play. You're done. Yeah. I shut him out in the second half. I tie it literally in the last 30 seconds of the fourth quarter, and I beat him in overtime 38-35.
Did he rage quit?
No, he did not rage quit because he thought he was going to win that game even till the very end. Wow. And I scored 24 unanswered points on him. Actually, I scored 31 because it was 35-7, and I scored a touchdown just before the end of the first half.
Oh, this is how well you remember this.
Well, that's because it was a really good comeback.
I will challenge you here. Let's see if you can come back from this. Just challenge your Giants fandom real quick, okay? This is for everybody listening. I'm putting Ray on the spot. This was not planned. Spell me O-C-U and Yura. Go.
Oh God, U-M-E-N Y-I-O-R-A.
And he comes back and wins the game!
Yes!
Unfortunately, you didn't say OC, which is OSI, so you lose.
No,
that's
you
his
only
first name.
You spell it. Umanura is the hard part.
Yeah. What's funny is I'm looking at it. I remember. You know why I know the name? This is how traumatized I am from living in this area. So I remember I was working in Connecticut, and this dude had a Umanura jersey on his wall all the time. It's just it was on his it was a glass window, and he had it on there all the time, and he never took it down. It's just Giants fans. But look at some of those guys on that team. Shockey was on that team. Strahan, you said it.
Yeah.
I believe Jay Feely was your place kicker. I don't know why I remember that.
Maybe. I mean, mid-2000s, yeah. I mean, he
Plaxico.
Because that's the thing. So we got rid of Shockey. Yeah. Oh no, Shockey was shot. I'm trying to think. Was Shockey hurt?
Was still there.
He was hurt the year of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Tuck was there. I'm looking at this. Hasselbeck was your backup quarterback. Tiki Barber was still there. Wow.
So that's not so this was the year before the Super Bowl win because Tiki retired.
Okay, I'm looking at 2006. That's right. So I'm looking at 06. Now let's look at 07.
Yeah.
Okay. So Steve Smith was on that team. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, Shocky's on the team. I don't know if he played that much. Strahan,
I'm pretty sure.
Eli
I'm pretty
Manning.
sure Shockey was hurt the whole year, and the next year's the year he went to the Saints. Tiki retired the year before. That was when we had. That was Bradshaw's rookie year. Brandon Jacobs obviously running the ball.
Toomer was there.
Ward was there running the ball.
Yeah, Toomer, Tyree, Jacobs.
What was that?
Toomer was there. Amami Toomer.
Yeah.
You hear me? And then Brendan Jacobs was your running back.
Yep.
Tuck was there. I remember that. Yeah.
Justin Tuck. Yeah,
okay, well, I'm not going to reminisce about this anymore. I don't want to look at the Giants anymore, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Because
so
this is what's happening in Philly at that time is that Donovan McNabb's our quarterback, and then Michael Vick would become our quarterback, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no. I met O.C. Umenyiora, too, once at ESPN. He was very, very nice. Very cool dude.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, with a name like that, you have to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys like you can remember how to spell it in 2020.
That's right. Hey, you
came through in the clutch there. Way to go.
Yeah.
No. Listen. When you're like, what's funny? Just again, side tangent. I remember like when you get guys in the league, any league, and you're like, how do you say that guy's name? How do you spell that name? But then they get really good, and like everyone knows their name. Like I remember the NHL when Gabriel Landeskog came into the league. And people are like, who the hell is Gabriel Landeskog? And I was the captain of the Colorado Avalanche, and like everyone knows Landeskog.
Yeah.
Or there's so many players. I mean, people couldn't say Jaromir Jagr when he came to the league.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's Steve Yzerman or Brett Favre if you look at football. So it's like it's always funny to think about the years these guys come in, and it's like and people don't know how to say their names. Like I'll give you one on the Philadelphia Flyers is Shane Gottisbehere, right?
Oh right.
But like people just call him Ghost Bear. Because it's Gottisbehere, Ghost Bear, right? Or they just call him Ghost. But that, everyone knows the game Gottisbehere. I'm not going to spell it. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah. So So we want to have a tangent there down reminiscing on memory lane. But
sorry, that's our best work. That's when we do our best work.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But yeah, good old OC Umenyiora. Yeah, I'm real happy. That YI really was. I was really worried about that YI in the middle, but I'm glad I remember.
I only brought this up because you needed to be cheered up, and I know talking about the Giants from that era, although it enrages me, makes you happy. So that's my late birthday gift to you.
I appreciate that, buddy. It makes me feel really good.
Damn Giants. Go ahead.
So Lee's gift to me obviously was more of a memory lane reminiscence. But sometimes people buy things for their birthdays, or sometimes people just buy things in general. And Dana White of the UFC is trying to now buy the most ridiculous thing ever. I mean, people do this when you have enough money, but I still blows my mind. Dana White is trying to buy a private island to put a UFC event on there because he can't do it anywhere else because of the coronavirus.
It has begun.
Yes. The battle for Earthrealm.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's Mortal Kombat, except people aren't going to die.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Probably not.
Well, it's Mortal Kombat happens. A guy brings them to a magical island in the middle of nowhere that leaves kind of all reality, and then they fight to the death. Yeah. No, it's that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So for those of you who don't know, this all started because it was supposed to be UFC 249 recently, most recent pay-per-view. They had to cancel it because of everything going on with the virus. I mean, Dana White tried his best to skirt around this and tried to do it until the last minute as possible. He even held the location secret of where this was being held the last minute until he had to say it's being done in California. And then immediately Gavin Newsom was like, no, you can't do that.
No.
And he had to cancel like very last minute. So it was one of those things where, so now Dana White's looking potentially to buy an island to circumvent this.
If you don't play this song while you're on the island.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too much. I mean, because that's what it is. I don't care who you are. Sorry, I had to bring it back because all I could think about is that your soul is mine.
Yeah, your soul is mine.
Yeah, well, you have to be like looking down at the camera.
Yeah,
your soul is mine. But
yes,
yeah, that was a great film.
It was a great film, very underrated film because it was a video game film, but it was the one good video game film for a very long time until with more recent successes like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog.
But yeah, I mean, there was a few more in there, but yeah, that's fine. But yeah, look, Dana White, I applaud the guy's relentlessness to try and get his business moving, and the athletes, because it put a lot of people on the line. And if this dude, I mean, like, look, here's the deal with the coronavirus situation, people, is that I'm a business owner, and there's ethics and there's morals and then there's business, right? So, like, I am not doing anything to put any of my employees or my people in danger, but we are a very close-knit team, and we are doing everything we can to seize the moment and take opportunities where applicable, okay? And no one should blame us for that. We're not doing anything wrong, right? But if there's an opportunity to grow our business or to learn or to get better, we're going to try and do it. And I give Dana White a ton of credit for trying to take the opportunity here to be the only sport running. Any sport that's up right now is going to get all the eyes, all right? All of them, all right? And you know that just from, like, there's nothing on TV, so how many people, and again, I'm not just for you, Ray, I'm not diving into this, but when you look at how many people are watching, like, presidential addresses every day, or there's press conferences, it's drawing sports numbers. And people are like, oh, wow, how's that happening? Because there's no sports on. It's the only thing worth watching in a weird, stupid way. It's like, you get to watch Trump and the press go 12 rounds. I mean, that's the that's the sport of it, right? So, like, whoever gets up and running first is going to have a lot of success in terms of just eyes and dedication and loyalty, right? It's an opportunity. As long as, and this is my response to this, as long as people are not put in danger, you're not endangering other people. Obviously, everyone going to the island's going to have to be tested and wear masks for 2 weeks before anything can even happen. Right? And then you obviously have the side of, like, the blood will be spilled, so how does that even work? Right? Yeah. So, like there's a lot of logistics, but a private island, it could be done, and it could really change how sporting events are done forever.
Yeah.
But I give the guy credit for trying to make it work. And again, we'll talk about this a little later in the episode. A lot of leagues are trying to come up with ideas. I don't know if any of them are going to come to fruition.
Right.
But sports is trying. It's just they're in a tight spot. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you mentioned a good point that people are just desperate for stuff to watch. I mean, I've gotten back into wrestling. Yeah. I've gotten back into wrestling just because there's nothing else on.
Yeah,
and,
Tiger King's only going to hold people over so long.
Yeah, and for those of us who refuse to watch it, although, well, and this is a personal thing. Like I've gotten more into cooking. I've been watching a lot of cooking shows to try and get into cooking a little bit. Like
expand your mind.
Yeah, but it's because there's nothing else on. There's literally nothing else on.
Well, yeah, that's why on demand is so great right now. But yeah, look, here's the thing. There's other things that people can do. You can read books. You can do a lot of things, and I think a lot of people are finding out to do that. Yeah, look, we're about a month in. I think we're a month in. Essentially, this week that just passed is the 1 month mark when this stuff got real. All right, so just to put that in perspective with you, within the last week, a month ago, the NBA, NHL, and every major sports league shut down. So this is a month, and it's felt. Yeah, I'm with all of you. It's felt a lot longer than a month. Okay, but yeah, it has been a month, and we're gonna have to do some more of these. So be ready for it, because I know, and we're gonna talk about this. Like the NHL playoffs were supposed to start this week. This would have been when they started, and that's tough to handle. It's painful, but you got to keep going. Anyway, keep going, right?
Yeah. So good on Dana White, like Lee said, to try and keep his stuff going because he wants to be
relentless.
But
he's not being. I just gotta say this again. He's not being stupid. I mean, he's trying to find a way, and I gotta believe if it's not safe, they won't do it.
No, for sure. He wouldn't put the fighters at risk. He's very much a fighter first owner, commissioner of his league. For sure. I mean, but UFC. While everything else right now might not be profitable by not playing or not being up, there's one sport that has been very profitable by not being up and by canceling their events because of the pandemic, and that's tennis.
Yes.
Wimbledon.
Again, let's just rephrase this so people understand.
Yeah.
Wimbledon is canceled. Tennis is not going on. They have made an enormous amount of money. That's your setup for what's about to be talked about.
Yes. So Wimbledon for the past 13 years has been paying $2 million a year to an insurance company that in case the event gets canceled specifically because of a pandemic, that they could they would be insured against that. So they've spent $26 million total over the past 13 years. Well, guess what happened this year? Wimbledon was canceled because of a pandemic. I mean, literally, like, you're having the tennis courts in New York, well, that's the U.S. Open, but the tennis courts in New York are being turned into emergency hospitals. Wimbledon, and I just double checked the number. Wimbledon is getting a payout because they're collecting on this pandemic insurance of $141 million. That is 6 times the investment of the insurance they are getting.
It's a good investment. It's a good investment. I wish I could sit here and say, like, what are the odds? Or like, oh man, that's like going to the casino and betting it all on Red 25. But the truth is that like, if you really think about it, it's not that dumb of an investment. I mean, we were due for a pandemic. A lot of people have been saying there's going to be a pandemic. If you look at the tennis crowd, a lot of doctors, right? A lot of professionals. So it's like, not that they were in the know. And how long did you say they were paying this for?
13 years.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it's just, maybe they're smart. Or maybe you should go online and look at the deep state about who's running Wimbledon in tennis and find out how they knew that in this year, 2020, a major pandemic would be crossing and they would profit so much money that now they're going to put into the stock market and eventually take over the country. So it's going to be the United States of Wimbledon, and then there's going to be motion pictures, and everyone's going to have to play tennis. They're not going to even let the other sports survive, Ray, because everyone must play tennis in the new Wimbledon world. Or it's just, they were smart and invested wisely. But you choose at home. It's up to you.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, look, every science journal for the past 15 to 20 years, because I remember actually, this is true, I remember reading about this in college in 2004. Yeah. I remember reading about this in college. We were taking I was taking a world studies class kind of thing, and they talked about how the way the world is getting, where, and look, not to get super political, poor places with larger populations and less resources, it's becoming viable that a pandemic that science fiction.
That's not political. That's science.
Yeah. Science fiction is going to become science fact, right? We always talk about the zombie outbreaks and all this other stuff, and it wouldn't be a zombie outbreak, but a true outbreak of something could occur in these sorts of places. And this was 2004. So for Wimbledon to start in 2007 with this kind of insurance, and even George Bush said this in 2005 that like
George Bush,
George Bush II,
Dr. Fauci,
right? But that's exactly it's a scientific thing that's been talked about for many years, and
look,
of course every government around the world was caught up.
Yeah, we have a way of human beings of ignoring the obvious, but and there's lots of it, right? But look, I mean, good for Wimbledon. I mean, I'm not upset. Like, again, I know people, I shouldn't have that kind of money. Look, they made an investment. They're paying off for it. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
All right. Like, if I make investments, I hope they work out too. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, like, so my analogy of this is that it's not exactly quite like, oh man, they bet $26 million on the unbelievable, roulette wheel thing that no one ever picks. It's more like they're playing blackjack and they want a hand.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like, which happens. By the way, if you ever go to casinos, blackjack's the only game you really can win.
It's true.
It's good to know.
It's true.
No other games in your favor.
Exactly. I personally almost always at least break even in blackjack, and sometimes walk away with like a few $100 more.
Yeah, but it's. I think you have a 30 to 40% chance of winning that game, where everything else is super low. And then you get the people do the online casinos. I'm like, you're playing a digital casino.
No, that's not good.
Like where they control. It's random. But no.
No, it's random, but it's really not. No, it's it's
I don't remember hearing about anybody winning the big millions on the digital casino.
It doesn't happen. No, but blackjack, like you said, the odds are ever in your favor with blackjack. But especially if you can get the people at the table. If everybody knows the odds, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you gotta know when to hit, when to stay. I mean, that's the one time I really cleaned up, which was at Caesars in Atlantic City. I walked away with like $650 off the blackjack table. Because I was there with some friends from ESPN and some friends from college. Jim Hildebrand was there.
Jimbo.
Jimbo. Jimbo was there. Yeah. My friend Scott Seidenberg from ESPN, my buddy Jared Bowden from ESPN. We were all at the blackjack table, and we worked together. Like we all work together because it's you versus the house, right? Like it's not like poker where it's you versus everyone. No, it's everybody at it's the table versus the house. So if you work together, and that's not cheating. It's not like counting cards. It's just kind of being like chit chat. Like, hey man, I don't think I wouldn't hit if I were you, kind of thing. Like that's fine. Although they kind of don't like it, but they can't really do anything about it. So like
I'll tell you a quick funny story. I remember it was 2000 and probably 6, maybe 2007, right? So I'm over 21. I got to make sure people know that. I'm in Atlantic City, just like Ray. I don't remember what casino. I want to say I was at Caesars, but I can't remember. But I remember I was down to my last $10 to my name. This is the night I both learned how dangerous gambling can be, but also like when to stop, right? So I was down to $10, and that's all I had to my name. I had nothing else, right? And I'm in this position where like I need to get gas to get back up north to North Jersey, and I can't afford it right now. So it's like I'm down to $10. If I lose the $10, nothing really changes at this point. So I'm thinking like, let me go to the blackjack. So this was my simple solution, right? I'm gonna put down the $10 on one hand, and then if I win, I'm just gonna put down another $10. So not 20, just I'm gonna keep putting down $10 until I lose, right?
Yep.
I won 10 hands in a row, so I got enough money back to get gas and get back, and I lost a hand and I left. Right, so like I only ended up losing like the $10 again, but like that's when I realized like how quickly you can lose your money, and like you got to know when to stop. And like I said, if I would have found a way back up. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like that was a dangerous day. And now when I do go to a casino, it's more leisurely, and I know exactly how much. And I said, for those of you listening, if you don't gamble or you don't go to casinos, here's the trick to survive a casino: you have to have a predetermined amount of money that you're going to lose. Not okay losing, not might lose. You're going to lose this money. Okay? Right. That's it. And if you're going on a hot streak or you get double your money, walk away. All right? But it's you have to look at it as this is your annual donation to the casino. That's how it's going to be. It's very unlikely you're going to win a ton of money. And if you hit a jackpot, leave. Leave right away.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right? Okay, that's our. By the way, if you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800. You've got a gambling problem. Just let us know, and we'll.
Gamblers Anonymous. There's plenty. There's plenty of help out there.
It is a problem. Yeah. So that's our PSA for today.
Yeah. So speaking of losing everything, the XFL.
Yes. No. Yes. No.
No. Yeah.
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
I know this is actually very, very sad for us. Because the XFL, I mean, I really think it was starting to get a nice little foothold with a lot of people. Definitely the fan bases in certain places like St. Louis and D.C. were really, really enjoying it. But obviously, they had to cut their season short because of the coronavirus. There was no champion. A lot of money was lost because of that. And this week, they basically they let go of everyone in the company, and it's probably the end of the XFL 2.0, which is a shame because it really seems like it was primed to do better this time.
So here's what happened. As Ray said, an article came out and essentially said that all of the employees of the XFL have been kicked out. Okay, they've all been fired or laid off, whatever the word you want to use is. Okay. Then the article continues to say that there's no plans for the XFL to return. Now, having read the article, it wasn't extremely official the way that was written. It sounded like a staffer said that the tone of the call or the meeting was that, we're not coming back next year. So a part of me says, okay, I don't know if that's no one's come out and officially said that there's not going to be a 21 season. Mm-hmm. All right, so like a small part of me is like, okay, we'll see. And to be honest with you, as an executive, as a business owner, as a GM, former GM, no one can make a determination on this until after the year. Because like if there's a way for it to come back, they're going to come back. But I also know, having been in that position, that the amount of revenue lost from this is probably substantial. And I'm sure that the WWE was investing quite a bit of money into this. So there's no way they can do it if it threatens the WWE, which is also probably in trouble because every night that they're not doing a show now, they're missing out the revenue from the fans being there. All right.
Yes.
Where like there might just be too dangerous. Like we all have in business. Like I have an anchor company. I have many companies, but I have an anchor company. If the anchor company goes down, they all go down. All right, so we protect that company at all costs. Doesn't matter. Like we can sacrifice the other companies, but not this one. So I imagine that's what's happening because WWE probably invested. I'm going to guess $1 billion to make that league happen. And I'd like to hear from McMahon. I'd like to. I mean, I don't know if he'd speak or the commissioner. But again, it's not good. It does not look good. It was good football. They've changed rules, and I think the NFL is going to look at that moving forward. But I'm not all hope is lost, but it's definitely a dangerous and discouraging story that came out.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Like Lee said, I think actually I don't know if it's $1 billion, but I think I heard the number somewhere where McMahon I think it was like $300 million or something he invested in the league or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean something. I mean when we're talking like hundreds,
Substantial amount of money.
Hundreds of millions of dollars were invested in this, and like Lee said, it's like you're sacrifice, you're putting something on the line, and and WWE is struggling right now. I mean, they're not doing as many live matches because they don't have a full roster. A lot of guys are home, which means they're not working, and a lot of these guys. I mean, people don't realize this. Yes, some guys there are contracts, but like a lot of contracts in wrestling, it's kind of like a gig economy. It's like if you don't wrestle, you don't get paid, and if you don't get paid, well, it's real hard to live.
But and here's the other thing too. I gotta say this again. Like the thing about wrestling is the fans. I mean, they pack arenas like every single, probably 3 to 5 times a week. They're getting 20,000 people in an arena, and that's not including their biggest show that they just missed out on. And that's 100,000 people probably, right?
They easily lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, on WrestleMania.
No, it's millions. It's millions. I guarantee you, it's millions. I mean, like just okay. Let me give like a quick mathematical thing, just so, because there's always a lot of misunderstanding in terms of how this stuff works. So let's just take any wrestling event, right, or any sports event. We'll just use a hockey arena. All right, let's just say it's packed. So most wrestling matches sell out. It's 20,000 people, right? Yeah. What would you say would average ticket cost? $50 on the low end? Like low end, right?
Well, low end is probably like 20, whereas the high is like you're talking several $100s, right? So
yeah, well, I'm just talking. Let's just do 50. Okay,
we'll say 50 as the average. Yeah.
All right, so 20,000 people, 50. That's $1 million right there, right? Then everybody probably spends $20 on food. Okay. Yeah. So like, there's more money, and then there's parking, there's everything that goes in this. Do you get merchandise, right? Yeah, so, like, you're looking like every single event is a minimum, probably $2 million, okay, that a venue makes. Now, here's the other side of it, okay, because people go, they make $2 million a game and they can't afford. Well, okay, there's also electrical costs to keep the arena on. There's also payments, like the owners got to pay their players.
TV trucks,
yeah. So that $2 million comes down pretty darn quick, right? Not to mention, you want to have a surplus of money. Like, again, a lot of people understand, well, you make $2 million, you pay out $2 million. No, you make $1 million, you want to pay out a quarter of that.
Right.
Because you need to put money in the bank, because if you don't have that money in the bank, you can't grow and you can't have a future, right? So all these sporting companies right now, all the leagues, are surviving on money in escrow, and they're surviving on money that they put aside. If they don't, they fold. And my guess is the XFL was already at a deficit when they decided to do this, okay? Because it doesn't, they probably weren't going to make money this year. They knew that.
Right.
So what happens is NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB, they have probably billions in surplus, all right? If not high millions when you look at the league as a whole, all right? I mean, the Yankees alone are worth $1 billion or $2 billion, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like, so like,
I think Man U in England is worth more in terms of a worldwide sports franchise.
Yeah. So again, that's why they can like not play for a season and survive. Yeah. All right. But the XFL was obviously at a deficit already, probably at a deficit. I don't see any way how they made money this season. That wasn't the goal. No. They don't have that in so they can't hemorrhage money right now. All right, because then there really won't be a season. So that's why it happened. And again, like I said, when you look at WWE or any of this stuff, every day there are not fans in the stands. They are losing an immense amount of money. And I want everyone listening to understand, except for the NFL TV rights, that is the only rights deal that is worth more than people in the building. Keeping in mind the NFL only has about 20, if you're a Super Bowl champion, you have 20 events a year, maybe. Yeah. Most of them are 17, 18, like with preseason, and they're not selling out.
And preseason, you don't make money on preseason games.
No. So that's my point. Is like, so that the NFL is the only league whose broadcast deal is actually worth more than that. But every other sports league in the United States, the number one revenue producer is people's butts and seats. Yeah. Number one, especially minor league sports. So you take that element out, it's not people. They have so much money. No, they don't. They don't have as much as you think. They do have millions and billions of dollars. I don't want you to think I'm not being realistic
here. It's constantly moving. It's constantly on a treadmill going around.
Yeah, right now it's just moving down.
Yeah.
All right, because like MLB, here's what's going to start happening. These leagues still have to play their employees.
Yep.
All right, like the money's just dropping, and again, if you're not replenishing it every night, you can last so long. Okay,
Right.
so again, there's always two sides to this owner-player battle, and again, this is a little bit of a different take on that, but it's like, don't think these guys are just rolling in it right now. Like they're looking at everything they have, and they're trying to make sure their businesses survive right now, right? So the XFL is obviously at a deficit, right? And they have to stop hard and just have to reevaluate it next year. And like I said, there's so many unknowns, right? Like if the NFL doesn't come back, let's just say that if the NFL doesn't come back this season, which we hope it does, but then there might be an opening. But we'll see.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens.
That's sports mathematics with Professor Lee. We'll see you next time on. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, but it's a good point. I mean, that's why so many leagues are so desperate. The TV rights are still worth a lot for a lot of companies too, for a lot of sports leagues, and that's why you're seeing the NFL is still going to televise the draft, even though it's going to be done. Everything's going to be done remotely, right? It's going to be a much smaller, simpler setup than they're not going to be doing like Radio City Music Hall or anything. But you're also seeing now. We're going to get into some of the leagues, some of their alternate ideas to try and get the seasons going. We'll start with baseball. So baseball put forward the idea this week that what they might try and do is isolate all their games into the two spring training leagues. So that's the Florida Grapefruit League and the Arizona Cactus League. And then basically they'd all be at neutral sites or their minor league stadiums, maybe just a couple of stadiums going back, and the teams would just go back and forth. They'd be sequestered in their hotels when they're not playing the game. And even when they're in the game, the players would be separated. They would be sitting in the stands, and they'd be separated and as far, the 6 feet apart and whatnot, and kind of acting like a little bit as a crowd. You'd have minimum groundskeeping crew. You'd have minimum, crew in keeping obviously the stadium running and whatnot, and obviously your TV crews, and that would be about it. And we've seen now, like with wrestling, because obviously you had Wrestlemania, you have AEW every week doing a live event. Keeping people separated and still doing a television production can be done, but this baseball, to do this, would basically it'd be 1 year of realignment. So you would have teams and divisions that normally are never together, and potentially experimenting with a playoff format. They haven't gotten that far yet, but it's fascinating because you could have the Yankees and the Phillies in the same division this year, is what they're potentially.
Which would be great.
Yeah. Well, so for the American Grapefruit League, right, which is basically it's more like almost like hockey or basketball, where it's more like Eastern Conference versus Western Conference in terms of the way this works with the so you'd have the Yankees, Blue Jays, Phillies, Pirates, and Tigers, who used to a very long time ago be in the Yankee division, as one division. You'd have the Red Sox, Rays, Braves. Funny enough, Braves used to be the Red Sox. Braves used to be in Boston. Used to be the Boston Braves. Twins and Orioles in another division. That's a division that's terrible. The Braves are going to run away with that one. The National, this would actually be a really good one. The Nationals and Astros, so your two participants from the World Series last year, would now be in the same division with the Cardinals, the Mets, who they're gonna get beat up on, the Marlins, they're really gonna get beat up on, and so that would be the Eastern League, and then the Western League you'd have the Diamondbacks. So this division actually stays most of the same: Diamondbacks, Rockies, Giants, but then you have the Cubs. And this would be interesting for the Giants. You'd have the crosstown rival Athletics in Oakland in the same division. Then you have the Dodgers. This is the craziest. Dodgers and Angels, again, crosstown rivals. And then the Reds and the Indians, again, crosstown rivals in the same division, along with the White Sox. And then this is actually the division that I think is the most. I think the Brewers would just run away with this one. Brewers, Rangers, Padres, Mariners, Royals. So, again, teams from all over getting mashed and jumbled together for the sake of vicinity and proximity, because you basically would have 6 or 7 neutral site stadiums with, like, and then the playoffs would be done in, like, the Miami Marlins Stadium and, like, the Arizona Diamondback Stadium. It's absolutely, I think it's fascinating. I think it's a brilliant idea. A lot's riding on to make this work, however. There's a lot that has to go right.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, like, each league each league is going to have to look at this. And we're going to talk about an NHL potential system in a minute, too. And they're going to have to look at it in one of two ways. If one is like, look, do we want to risk any of this? Right? That's number one. Number two is like, is this going to give fans the best baseball we can give them? All right? Or the best hockey or basketball, whatever you want, right? And I get worried sometimes because I love the idea of this, but how logistically possible is it, right? Now, I will say that baseball is probably the only sport that can kind of look at this seriously because of the social distancing aspect of it, or the physical distancing. Because in baseball you're pretty spread out for the most part, outside guys on base and the catcher and the pitcher and the hitter. But it's possible. The question is, medically, can you do it? I mean, I was reading an article the other day about like if an athlete does get coronavirus, you have to shut the league down for 2 weeks again. Yeah. So it's I love the idea. I love thinking about it. I'd love to see it. Just have sports. Yeah. Right, but it's like, and then I take myself back. I'm like, okay, if this wasn't going on, if it was something else, right, would I be okay with this? And it's tough. It's tough to find out. Side baseball, though, completely side. I just got a tweet here that says Babe Ruth was 3-0 in the World Series with a .87 ERA, then stopped pitching because he also wanted to hit 700 home runs. A lot of people don't realize Babe Ruth was an unbelievably good pitcher. I think he's top 10. I think he's top 10 all time. In terms of just some of the statistics right now, career ERA, yeah, I think, and here's a stat for you. Over 4 years pitching with the Yankees, right? He pitched in 5 games over 4 seasons and didn't lose one of them. Yeah, it's incredible, just incredible.
He was primarily still an outfielder. You just have to remember back in that day, the pitchers would still hit, but like with him being able to focus on hitting and playing the field instead of pitching. His power just went through the roof. Also, so did his weight and his caloric intake. But that's another story for another day. But
well, I mean, you can see that if you look at his home runs right here. But this guy had 2 20-win seasons as a pitcher with Boston. But anyway, I digress. The NHL side of this is, and again, because these two things kind of go together. I don't want to be interrupted. You're interrupting me. I interrupt you. It's my job to interrupt you, not the other way.
There's 2 more critical facts I want to mention about baseball. Is that if they do this, if they do this, this will be very fascinating. They could get rid of. They said they would get rid of the home plate umpire, except for calls at the plate. They would introduce the electronic strike zone for this, so that there's one less person crowded around home plate for this. Also, they would expand the rosters to 40-man rosters because there would still be no minor league seasons.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's another part of this is people are forgetting about minor league sports, which also kind of have to continue if you're going to have professional sports, or else you're going to run into a major problem when it comes to injuries or performance issues. Mm-hmm. So, and then I'm just tagging on with it. I'm not trying to switch topics, but the NHL version of this right now is to finish this season. So the MLB system is to start their season. The NHL system to finish their season, the proposal was put out that there are 4 neutral sites around the country that somehow would host the end of the regular season if they did that. And then each site would host playoff rounds, or 2 teams, and it would be kind of a continuous playoff. So there'd be 3 or 4 games in an arena a day. Mm-hmm. And then the cup final, or the last 2 rounds, would take place in North Dakota, which is the only college hockey arena that is an NHL arena, essentially. UND has an NHL-sized arena because they pull NHL crowds in North Dakota. A lot of people don't realize that. And again, love the idea, love it. It's just a logistical thing of how do you keep the players healthy. There's no minor leagues running, so if a guy gets hurt, if you lose 5 players, what happens? It's possible, all right? I mean, what happens? You can't replenish your roster. You just have to call guys up cold. I mean, so again, there's a lot of hurdles, but these are fun to think about. It's going to be very interesting because, we don't know when or how sports is going to come back, and I don't want to put the kibosh on it and say it's not possible. We're going to have to see how innovative these are and what they're willing to do, because at some point they have to start making money again. Here's the thing, and this is going to happen. The leagues and the teams are going to start to lay off their staff, and people are going to complain like, how can they do that? They have so much money, and it's like I said earlier, they don't. They can't just hemorrhage money and survive, right? Can you imagine the article of MLB goes bankrupt? Because that will happen. Yeah. Okay. And again, there's some things you can do and some things you can't. And it says, like everything, we can go on for so long. All right. And I personally believe the government would actually bail out baseball. I really believe that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, but it depends. All right. So just keep your wits about you with these situations. And again, they're fun to think about. It's something to discuss. And trust me, nobody wants sports to come back more than us and the athletes. All right, this is geeks who like sports, but now it's geeks who liked sports because there aren't any. Like I said, we say that every week. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting time period. I mean, you won't see anything till next month, till May at the earliest. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting for sure. It's gonna take a while, definitely, man. The earliest you might get some spring training towards the end of May, but that's still a bit of a pipe dream at this point. But speaking of hurdles to overcome, very quickly, second day of Wrestlemania last week, Drew McIntyre did beat Brock Lesnar, as we all expected, to get the WWE Championship. Good for him. It's been a long road back for him. Back to WWE, of course, he was a golden boy, tricked by Vince McMahon. Couldn't get over. His gimmick didn't work. He left, trained harder, retweaked it, came back bigger, stronger. Now he's going to have his chance as WWE champion. Bayley retained in the women's title. Charlotte is now a 2-time NXT Women's Championship, which is interesting because having a main roster person win the NXT Championship is basically saying, and this is kind of what the WWE wants, that NXT is now officially the third brand. It's not the minor leagues anymore. It is officially, it's Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and they are all on equal footing because you now have a Raw SmackDown person winning their top women's championship, and they're basically, this is them officially. They've said it. They're pushing it as this. Yes, NXT is now our third brand. It might only operate out of Florida typically, although now traditionally everything's only out of Florida because of again the virus, but. You know, it is our third brand. It is as big. They draw numbers on USA on Wednesday nights that are just as big as Raw and SmackDown, and are just as competitive with AEW. They are officially the third brand by putting a WWE main roster, quote unquote main roster person as the back as the champion in NXT. So that is official. That is a big deal for WWE.
So what's going to replace NXT then? They gonna make something else?
I think it's still gonna serve as like the minor. It's gonna serve as the up and coming thing for wrestlers. But I think that now you're gonna see a lot more movement between all three shows. Whereas before it used to be a big deal when somebody got called up from NXT, usually at like the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or something, and it's like, oh my God, it's Shayna Baszler, she's here.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It was a cool moment, right?
Yeah, but now it's basically gonna be like. There's going to be a lot more movement between the three. You'll start it on NXT, but that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's where you stay and move up the ranks. That just means that you're part of the third brand now. Like that's it. Like it'll always be seen as the little brother, but
it's cool though.
Yeah, it's a big deal that you have Charlotte now as the NXT Women's Championship because it also elevates that belt. You know, I mean, it's no longer a minor league championship anymore. It's a legit championship, and it's a big deal. So I mean, good for them, good for her. And I think it's obvious. It shows that it's another way for WWE to try and expand in these tough times, expand and legitimize and make all their brands bigger and more elevated. And also increase their roster size because, like I just said, as guys get sick, Roman Reigns is basically on the shelf now because of his leukemia. He's immunocompromised, so he can't wrestle. He's off. He's done. Like he's done until this is over. You know, obviously we wish him for nothing but health and happiness and all that other stuff. But until this lifts, he's on the shelf. But I know a few years ago it's very funny. We would not have said that about Roman Reigns probably, but. Yeah, it's weird. It's a terrible thing to say, but cancer got him over.
It's true. Look, I was just watching John Cena talk about this the other day about like not cancer, but he was about to be fired. His contract was about to be up, and he started rapping on. He started rapping in the ring, and all of a sudden that took off. I mean, that was the end of wrestling for me mostly, but at the time, but these things turn on a dime. You never know what's going to happen, and it's a cool move. I would have loved to have been a fly in the boardroom when they're like, "What are we going to do with what's going on? Why don't we just elevate the entire NXT? Why don't we just bring them all in at the same time?" It's gutsy, and I've always liked that they're not afraid to take risks. The WWE never gets enough credit for that. The risks that they're willing to take.
Yeah.
And again, I know it's not comparable to professional sports in that regard, but like in terms of entertainment and business, sports business, it's incredible the risks that they take to survive. I mean, I applaud it, and I learn a lot from them. Real quick side from that. For those of you watching, it's kind of wrestling, kind of not. But if you're not following Dwayne Johnson, if you're not following The Rock on social media, start doing it. He is putting out some incredible content since this started. He's answering fan questions every day, and his answers are really wholesome, and they're really deep, and you can tell he's really putting his time into them. Yeah. Like they asked him if he ever had a favorite match the other day, and like his answers, he wasn't just like, yeah, this one. Yeah, he like dives deep into how his family was from Hawaii and why competing in Hawaii meant so much to him. And then they asked him the other day about like what role did you miss out on? Yeah, so like it means it was the house show. For those of you younger wrestling fans, it means it wasn't even on TV. Like it was just a show they did to put fans in the stands, and like they didn't think he'd want to go. But again, they don't do that anymore. I remember we used to read online because they used to record these things prior to going live, and we used to read who would win a match the night before, and that was a big deal if you knew who won before everybody else. Yeah, man. Check him out. Check out Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, online. He's been doing unbelievably good content. I mean, he does great content all the time, and obviously film. But this has been special. I mean, I really feel like he's connecting with people on a level he never has before. Even to the point of he has his own gym, and he actually said, I don't post my workouts because I think it'd be insensitive to people that want to work out. And I was like, man, I kind of agree with you on that. Like, I don't want to see people, like a lot of people are posting like themselves in gyms right now, celebrities in gyms. And it's like, dude, I don't want to see that. I can't get to a gym right now. So anyway, Ray, continue.
Yeah, no, and just very quick note, they do still do house shows, just not as frequently as they used to because obviously of the schedule and everything that they do. But they do have.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
They still do house shows. They still do. It's still a thing. I mean, a big, especially in places where they don't get the chance to do Raw as often. Like Canada gets a lot of house shows. Like sometimes Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, like those guys, especially guys from Canada, will go up to Canada and do house shows up there and put on really. But
belts typically don't change at those shows, right? I do remember a long time ago there was someone got injured at one of those. Yeah. And it was a belt show, and they had so someone won the belt that wasn't supposed to win the belt, and then the next night on Raw they had to reverse it. I remember that, where somebody had, something happened where I couldn't finish the match, and they had to give the belt to somebody. But that happened one time. I remember that. I can't remember who it was or why.
It's very very rare, and I think it was like a U.S. championship or something. But it's super super rare that a belt will change hands on a what they call a dark show or a house show. And a dark match, I should say.
But the money they get from those shows is incredible. Again, it's probably $1 million minimum. Probably
it's totally. That's why they still do it. It's still worth it for them to do it. But for some wrestling isn't worth it for everyone to do it. And our last wrestling/sports story of the day is just want to quickly mention Ronda Rousey came out on the Steve-O podcast this past week, and really. The headline was very much taken out of context. If you listen to the whole interview, she's not just bashing WWE fans, but she does list it as a reason as to why she doesn't want to wrestle anymore and doesn't want to wrestle full time anymore. She did get hurt. She broke a vertebrae in her back wrestling. I mean, again, people don't realize, people forget wrestling. Yes, the outcomes may be predetermined, but there is nothing fake about wrestling or the moves they do. You are still, somebody is still dropping another human being on their back 36 times a match, and vice versa. And it's very, very difficult and very, very strenuous. And not everybody, you hear a lot of ex-football players, a lot of ex-fighters and stuff coming to WWE or wrestling in general, and not everybody can do it. And I don't think Ronda Rousey realized, as much of a fan she was of wrestling, she realized the intense, grueling process that goes into wrestling. And she talked about how she was exhausted, she missed her family, she was on the road 200 days a year, and that this injury kind of was kind of a blessing in disguise because she doesn't, and she didn't want to really wrestle anymore. She said it. She would rather put her energy into her family than into a lot of ungrateful effing WWE fans. While it is a knock against the fans, it's also, there's obviously a lot of toxic WWE fans. That's not untrue, especially it's very guarded and protected wrestling. So when you come in as an outsider, like a UFC fighter, you have extra hurdles to overcome in terms of winning over the fans a lot of times, right? Because it's not necessary that people who liked you at UFC, it's not necessary that they're going to like you in WWE, right? Wrestling's still very much, and I love listening to Jim Cornette. I know he's a very divisive figure in wrestling history, of course, over the past 30 years, but there's probably no greater wrestling historian, and there's also probably nobody who appreciates what the art and the art of kayfabe and the art of protecting what goes on behind the curtain more than probably Jim Cornette. And actually, again, I'm going to sing his praises again. Dark Side of the Ring this week they did the Brawl for All, which was the tournament from the late 90s. That was a boxing tournament in the wrestling ring. And how terrible that tournament was for a lot of the wrestlers, and how it actually ended like a dozen guys' careers, either directly or indirectly. You had the Godfather talking about it. You had all these guys like all these guys who participated in it. Bart Gunn. I completely forgot about Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn, of course, the less famous tag team partner of Billy Gunn. They were the Smoking Guns. Yeah. And then they split up. Billy Gunn became Rockabilly, which was a disaster. And then he joined DX though, and basically saved his career.
Yeah.
Bart Gunn, his career was ruined by the Brawl for All. It was his last stitch ever, and it was absolutely destroyed. Even though he won the tournament. But it's a really interesting behind the scenes. And again, Jim Cornette talking about protecting wrestlers and protecting these guys. And again, a lot of people I don't think understand, and to get back to Ronda Rousey, don't understand what goes on behind the scenes. And a lot of fans who have, especially, as we call them smarks now, right? Like smart fans or smart marks, right? Like, they know more now, so they've kind of taken up the mantle of protecting the business in a way, but sometimes they protect it in the wrong way, and that's when you get these toxic fans coming out, and you get a lot of toxicity, which, of course, Ronda was the victim of a lot of that, but also they saw her as an outsider. She didn't appreciate it, definitely understand her viewpoint on this, but this is nothing wrong with it, it's just not for her. You know, I mean, she's a great athlete. She's obviously a tremendous UFC champion. She's done more probably for women's, women's fighting and women's fighting than anybody in probably the past, decade. But, obviously wrestling is a completely different monster, and it wasn't for her.
No, it wasn't. Excuse me, I had to mute myself. Something caught my throat there.
The virus.
Look, I wish it. No, I mean, don't wish. So
I would never,
here's the thing.
I wish that on you either.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Bad joke. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Here's the thing with Rousey is that the other hurdle she has to overcome is that she's a woman, and toxic WWE fans are probably pretty harsh towards women. The WWE has made massive changes over the last 10 years to make sure that women are equal to men within wrestling. It was, looking back on it, what they did in the Attitude Era and a little bit prior, it was almost disgusting the way women were treated in the WWF, WWE. So there's that aspect of it too. Not that Rousey's not tough and not that she didn't belong there, but I can't say she's wrong for wanting to do it. She gave it a try. Like, it's not easy coming down from a UFC career. Okay, so she did it. She tried something else. It's not for her. Now she's seeing with clarity, I want to be with my family. All right, and I can't blame her for that at all. So it's short and sweet for me with that. But look, I wish her the best. It's okay. Wrestling will continue. Her life will continue. Everybody kind of wins in that one. And listen to WWE fans that take it too far. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. All right, no, you can play part of the act as a fan, but you can take it too far. And I don't even want to know what she was being called by those people. A woman who puts in. Her entire life is built on athletics and trying to be the best competitor and trying to do the best for herself and now other people. And then, she said it, but it doesn't speak for every single WWE fan though. But yes, that it is what it is.
And there are toxic fans in every sport and everywhere. I mean, it's not just to say WWE fans are toxic. I mean, video games too. I mean, the most toxicity comes from. I mean, I've ever seen comes from. I've ever dealt with is League of Legends. So I mean, it's. Sometimes they're just toxic people, period. But yeah, I mean, and it has gotten better. Women's wrestling has gotten a lot better in the past 10 years. And like Lee said, they're on equal footing.
Sure.
They're even main eventing a lot of pay-per-views now because the women matches are in some ways better than some of the male matches.
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yeah.
it is true. It has come a long way, but she, it was a lot for her, and that's completely fair and totally understandable. And it's a shame she felt she had to call out the fans, and that it was so bad that this was something that this went into part of her decision making, I should say, right? Like, I mean, that's really the shame.
And she's not a quitter. Like, I mean, I know she's leaving, but like that's not her style to quit. So like that must tell you how much she dealt with here that she doesn't want to go back.
Yeah, the fact that she was hurt, and she's like, what, I don't need. She said she didn't close the door. She said she might return if she was ever offered in a part-time capacity, kind of like what Brock Lesnar does. But she says she can't do full-time anymore, and completely understand it. The 200 to 250 days on the road a year just isn't
away from your family.
It's just not for everyone. It's not for a lot of people. Completely get it. So, a very long sports section. We're just scratching the surface now for geekdom. Fortunately, it's a short geek segment, I guess, or unfortunately, depending on.
It's interesting that geeks are so short this week and sports is the long one, but yeah.
Yeah, but two major topics. Pokemon Go has been trying, as we mentioned last week, trying to help with the social distancing, but it's actually introduced a lot, what I've noticed at least, a lot more bugs into the game.
It has.
Into trying to do the double length of being able to interact with gyms and Pokestops and whatnot.
Yeah.
They've also allowed more battle matches, but I know, Lee, I think we both experienced this. A lot more bugs, a lot of try again laters, or a lot of. The game is even crashed.
Yeah, it just rarely works. The update. So like what they've done is they've expanded your range, so like to interact with things in the game, and it just barely works. I mean, once in a while it will, but. Look, here's the thing. I don't want to be too harsh on them because they are trying. I give them that, but like at the same time, if you make the game too hard to play, I'm not going to play it.
Right.
So I know they're working on it, and like I said, I'm getting constant emails and contacts from them of like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. But do it well, do it right. Don't break your game, but come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's not easy. I mean, of course, there's a lot that goes. Anytime you change anything in a video game that's been running as long as Pokemon Go has, it's like a domino effect, right? You change one thing, and I'm sure it just completely broke like a bunch of different things within the code, and now they're trying to squash the bugs as quick as they can. Keep in
mind, it's a game that thrives on interaction too.
Yeah. So I mean, they're desperately. It's good. God bless you.
Yeah.
It's definitely they're trying their best to stay relevant. I mean, this is a game that this is $1 billion a year game. You know, what I mean, they still have millions of people a year playing, and people who in the microtransactions, and people who travel for the game. You know, I was gonna go to Philadelphia for the game for a weekend.
Still can, bud. You still can.
No, canceled it. I canceled.
We put this out on our page last week. Round trip tickets from Los Angeles to Philadelphia are $60. So we put it out to Ray that if you wear a mask and goggles on the plane and wear a mask for 2 weeks after you arrive and have no symptoms, you can stay. And I'm still trying to convince him. You voted, most of you voted yes for him to come over, I will say, which means that, Ray, most people want you to die.
To be fair, the only options you gave them were yes options.
That's irrelevant. Okay, they voted yeah. Actually, it's funny. So what we did was, should Ray come to Philly? And it said, legends never die or heroes live forever. I'd love to hear what people were thinking when they read those of like, well, which one is it? Like, so people says like, oh, heroes live forever. I'm like, does that mean they want you not to come because they want you to live? And legends never die. So either way, I win.
Yeah, either way you win. So Lee will be hosting the podcast by himself from now on as I get the coronavirus.
Yeah. Welcome to sports that like geeks. Just reverse it. Still sell the T-shirts. Make it work.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no. So Pokemon Go, it's trying. I mean, I'm still playing as best I can. I'll admit this. I ran out in a bathrobe the other day to catch a Pokemon that I hadn't caught before. Ran into my car and drove to the Pokestop that it spawned at. Because
I'm just gonna let you finish the story. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, because I mean, it was a stun. It was a stun disc. They added it to the game.
What did you do, Ray?
I mean, they keep adding Pokemon to the game, so I have to get to the Pokestop. So
I want you all at home to listening to this to imagine Ray running out in his bathrobe. What color was the bathrobe, dude?
It's green.
He had a bathrobe. It's a green bathrobe. Of course it was. Ray runs out of his green bathroom in his slippers to go get his car to drive to get a Pokemon. That's how dedicated this man is to you. To get these things. He's got a bathrobe.
Yeah, I did what I had to do. It was 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I just opened up to see what's going on. I'm like, oh my God, Stun Disc is over there, and I drove over there. And actually, I was kind of disturbed because as I got there, first of all, I wasn't the only person who was doing this. There were at least a couple. It looked like there was at least a couple other cars that had parked at 11:30 at night in front of the Chase Bank.
That's great.
To catch this Stun Disc. But what was worse was as I then made the U-turn through the Chase parking lot. There were probably like 24 kids playing soccer in the Chase Bank parking lot at 11:30 at night.
11:30 at night,
despite all the laws about not gathering in groups, and it's just like, come on, guys, come on, man. So,
but you got the Pokemon, and
I got the Pokemon. And I caught one for you too, Lee. I caught one for you too.
You are a friend. You're a friend.
Yeah. So I've got 2 Stun Discs right now. In case you haven't caught
I think we can
one.
trade. Can't we trade across the country now that we're best friends on there or whatever? Greatest friends? We'll find out.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to find out. We'll have to try that later. I don't know if we can trade across the country. But we can battle across the country. I don't know if we can trade. But, yeah, so Pokemon Go, it's had some issues. Also, so speaking of gaming issues, this week the big new gaming news was not the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake, not the release of Resident Evil 3 Remake, because all they're doing is remaking old video games because nostalgia sells. The PS5 controller, not the system itself that we still don't know if it works or not. The PS5 controller was shown off, and it looks like that Sony is getting closer and closer to the Microsoft controller. That's really all it is. It's basically them. They've done a couple of things, and actually I'm going to pull over my PS4 controller here so that folks of you watching at home. So this light in the front of the PS4 camera controller has now been moved so that it's to a backlight so that this button in the middle glows behind it.
I'm looking at it right now. I just searched it.
So also, something that I hate that they did is they still have the 2 control sticks here right next to each other instead of like what Microsoft does, is where they move their other control stick here. For me as a player, it's just more comfortable to have the control sticks offset, but that's what they did. And also, they also are using the same crappy rubber material for the control sticks. Now, I want to show you folks real close. I want you to see. You see what I did there? I just ripped the rubber off my PS4 controller because it's not stored, but the rubber that covers the PS4 controller, if you're a gamer like me who's very intense, and I know this is the reason why these little stupid things, these little replacements sell so much, is because you rip the rubber off all the time on your PS4 controllers. Because if you play games with any sort of intensity, they're going to rip right off after a year or two. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have the money to go and buy new PS4 controllers constantly. So you get these little $5 nubs somewhere, and they don't stay on when you're playing hockey and you're trying to do a freaking slap shot. And they pop off because they're garbage, because PS4 and Sony in general make stuff out of crappy materials. So they kept that the same because it's cheap and it's garbage. So yeah, the PS5 controller, it's the same old crap from Sony, except for it's white now instead of black, which although I will say that I like the color scheme. It's a white and black mixture instead of just plain black.
Yeah, you can, if you just search PS5 controller, you'll see it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the new Xbox minimal changes. They added a button, and they changed the D-pad a little bit. They made it so it's more like the Elite D-pad for the Xbox Sex that's coming out later this year. Yeah,
I'm looking at it.
I know
looking at it right now.
that. So they changed the D-pad so it goes up on the edges instead of smooth like this. So it's smooth on the edges with the D-pad, which is smart, which is very much like their Elite controller. But yeah,
it's just way more comfortable.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking at that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Xbox Sex controller is going to be way better because Microsoft just understands what feels good in gamers' hands. Understands that there are more adults gaming now than ever before, and so you need something that fits into an adult's hands. Oh God. Anyway,
well, that's the closest thing you're going to get to a Ray rant right now.
Yeah, that's about.
I was going to say this later, but we've had people request like, "Oh man, I miss it when Ray just loses his mind." Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sony doing a terrible job as usual, and we still haven't seen the system. So I mean, it's until we see the actual PS5 system and we actually see it in action. I would be worried if I'm a Sony fanboy. Honestly, I mean, first of all, I don't even know if there's any. I'm very shocked to still find a lot of console folks fanboys out there.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, obviously it's easy for me. I have to have all the systems.
I'm sure they're out there, yeah.
But I mean, like, it's gotten to the point now where the console wars aren't what they once were. And when we talked about this again, we talked about this last week too, where, I mean, at this point, everybody has two consoles. You either have an Xbox or a PlayStation and a Nintendo Switch. You have to have at least two. So, because again, most of the games, there are so few console exclusives on Xbox or Sony that you can just get one or the other, and you will get 95% of the games you want anyway. And then Nintendo has all the exclusives.
They're coming to an end, but I'm sure they're still out there. I'm just sure there's people like, oh, it's better.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll see.
They're wrong, but it's okay. But yeah, so that's a very short geek segment this week. Now instead of our
but a rich one, a rich one. Though.
Yes, a rich one. And then so now our last section is kind of for you guys too, and kind of let us know below what has been your guys' favorite moment from the last year of Geeks Who Like Sports. This is our anniversary segment. We started this last April. I know it's our anniversary segment because my credit card just got charged for our SoundCloud account. Let
me know what I owe you, Ray.
No, you don't owe me. It's fine. It's all good. Me and Lee, we kind of we split different costs for different things. Or whatever. It's fine. But I mean, we've had some really big moments over the course of this year. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously, episode 21, which we did up in Seattle.
Episode 21 at PAX is my highlight. So. For those of you who have been listening after episode 21, we were invited to Seattle to go to PAX West and do a live appearance with several guests. That's when we knew we might be onto something. When in such an early time period of our podcast, we were invited out to do a live studio audience, which Ray and I thrive in. So that was absolutely an experience. Should give a shout out to Jordy Oberg, who was there with us from Canada, who helped us film and document it. If you go to our Facebook page, that video is still there at the top. It's funny, though, when you look back, I'm looking at all our episodes right now, and, we should also mention, like, this is the 1-year anniversary of Endgame coming out, of Avengers Endgame. So, like, that was when we started the show. We were talking about hockey playoffs and the MCU. That was the first episode that was recorded. Yeah. And then, it was a lot of stuff. Like, Joker hadn't come out yet. I think Robert Pattinson was just about to be picked as Batman. And
we were talking Mortal Kombat 11 had just come out.
And then we really started to find our own when Ray started losing his mind over the Giants. That was a really fun time period.
Yeah.
We had fun with that. Antonio Brown happened during that time.
I got fired. Which was great.
I mean, it was you got fired, but you stood up. That's the thing you got to make sure you say.
Oh yeah,
Ray stood up for his laurels.
Yeah, no, and I was honestly, I mean, it was the best. I was thrilled. I mean. Lee knows this. The only 2 times I've ever been quote unquote let go from a job, it's because I hated the job so much and was thrilled to be given the option of being like we're gonna let you go, and I'm like I'm free. It's only happened twice. It happened at DC Comics and it happened at Classic Game Room on YouTube. So, yeah, those were the only 2 times where every other time I've left the company on my base. I'm true. Even then, really, I've always left on my own terms. It's just that those other times I was like, it was me moving on and up at that particular moment. Those other 2 times, it was just like where I'm like, I hate this. I'm going to make you get rid of me because I can't stand this place so much.
So just a few other highlights from the last year. Obviously, Disney Plus launching The Mandalorian, Star Wars, obviously Rise of Skywalker came out, Joker. But it's been a. I mean, and then obviously coronavirus, but it's been a ride for the last year. We had, when we started this show, we started doing 40-minute episodes, and they slowly crept up to an hour 10, and this episode's already at an hour and a half.
It's kind of becoming our standard now is an hour and a half.
Yeah, we were worried people wouldn't listen, but you guys kept listening, and you kept supporting us, and I'm hoping we get to go back to PAX West again next year. It sounds like we're going to have the opportunity to do that. But just growing the show and growing the audience, and again, above all, we just want to thank you, those of you that are listening or watching or supporting us in whatever way you do, because we kind of had this mantra of if one person listens, it's worth doing, and we get a lot of listens every week, and we appreciate you and appreciate everybody that's supported Geeks Who Like Sports over the last year. And we'll leave it up to you. Should we get more T-shirts made so that you can wear them? Comment below and let us know, because we'll do it.
Yeah, actually, this is true. We've had people ask for T-shirts. We had people ask for the mugs as well. But if we get enough, here's the thing. This is our promise to you. If we get enough requests on this episode, for mugs and or T-shirts, we will make more, and we will start finally. We will, I guess, make a store. I guess.
Yeah, that's my realm. I'll do it. I'll make it happen. I have a shipping center out of my house. It will be not hard to get these in and get them out. So, I said, if you guys want them, if you guys want Geeks Who Like Sports merch, let us know. We'll get it made, and we'll get it out. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd love to do it. It's just got to beat demand. That you understand, we can't just buy them to buy them.
Right. No, exactly. No, for sure. But I mean, you've seen me and Lee wear the shirts every week. It's a nice blue shirt with just let us know your size. I'll wear it again next week. I'm wearing a Batman.
Neither one of us is wearing it now. Wait,
because I'm wearing a pastel Batman shirt because it's Easter, right? So I figure this is kind of like an Eastery green. So, whatever.
The more you know.
Yeah. So
anyway, that was my favorite. My PAX 21, episode 21 at PAX was special for me. It was special to be with you, kind of to beat inside of Seattle. It was a really fun week, and I was glad that we got to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, even though I basically from the second I landed, I was under the weather, because I caught something on the plane, because of course I did.
That's we'll get a chicken. We'll get another shot. We'll get another shot. That's the whole key.
Yeah, no, we will get another shot. Yeah, so no, it should be a good time. It should be really. It was a lot of fun. Episode 21 was a lot of fun for sure. But we've had a lot of great episodes over the past year. We really have. We've, gosh, I mean, trying to think. From the talking about the XFL, going our deep dive.
They got a lot of listens. Yeah, the XFL got a lot. Our NFL coverage actually did. Lots of stuff. Some random episodes got a lot of listens. Just people come and they go. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, and we do, and we really do appreciate you, and we hope you continue to listen here as this is to a year. A year of Geeks Who Like Sports into many more years. Yes, I'm all out of coffee in my mug, so I'll cheers my Gatorade now. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, hey, as I drop the cap. But
anyway, thank you all. Yeah. Thank you all for the support. I mean that, and we'll keep doing it because you keep listening.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's been a crazy year. It has been a crazy year. And
let's be honest, you've got nothing else going on now anyway, so you kind of have to listen to us each week.
Yeah.
For those of you who know, I mean, I'm not saying this benefited us. Yeah,
you should go back and listen to you should marathon and listen to every episode from
the new 52.
There
do it.
There you go. On that note. Yes, I want to thank everybody for listening. It really does mean a lot. As always, share the Facebook group, share the Facebook page if you can. It's Geeks Who Like Sports. Just search for us. It's real easy. Geeks Who Like SP1 on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, also the website, geekswholikesports.com, geekswholikesports@gmail.com. Yeah, we're kind of everywhere. You can hear us wherever. If you're listening to this, you can listen to us wherever podcasts are heard. And we appreciate it. And so this has been a full year for Lee. I'm Ray. To the next year and beyond. This has been Geeks Who Like Sports, episode 52. Thank you, everybody, and good night.